Athletic Director, Mr. Stines. A brief background about Mr. Stines is that he is the Associate Athletic Director for Faculty Operations and Capital Projects at the University of Georgia. So that means he oversees day-to-day operations of the facility, building services, different departments, as well as large capital projects. Prior to being at the University of Georgia, he was at McNeese State, where he was the Deputy Athletic Director, Chief Operating and Financial Officer. He was also the Sports Administrator for McNeese State football and basketball programs. Prior to going to McNeese State, he was actually an undergraduate at the University of Georgia, where he was an equipment manager for the football program. A few key points and important things I learned from this interview were that he told me that sports law and sports finance would pay huge dividends when it came to being in the sports administration business, that it would give proper insight to different departments that you and other people would be able to oversee. Another thing that he told me was that he loved hiring new people. This meaning this would be able to allow him to build people up and become amazing administrators, and to be able to then eventually leave this program to be able to then go to their own programs and to be as successful as Mr. Stines has been at the University of Georgia. Now, of course, with positives, there's also negatives in the business. The least favorite thing that Mr. Stines says that he has to do is pay bills, which nobody likes to pay bills. And then two major key points that he told me that I got out of this interview were two pieces of advice that he told me. One was to exceed expectations. He told me that doing the small little things, being able to be the first one there, being the last one out, and to be able to push yourself past what you think is enough, gave him that competitive edge. So when it came to potential promotions and such, there was never a second doubt that he wouldn't get it, because he made sure that he was always that one person that you didn't have to ask, he just did. Another piece of advice that he gave me was to start early. Start by getting into internships and connecting with people in your industry, whether it be in your state, in your own university, and other universities, whether it be outside the state, just to be able to broaden your personal network, to be able to have those opportunities in the near and far future for different points where you could be going to out of state and being able to become an administrator in different states or different universities in general. Second chance. Now, for me, if I was able to redo this interview, I would take back and redo a few things. One, I would be much more professional and I would carry myself a different way. I felt like I was very nervous and very anxious when it came to the beginning of the interview, and I didn't know necessarily how to communicate and portray myself at the beginning. And I felt like I could have been more relaxed and I could have conversated more outside of the questions. I made it majority of the time about the questions, about talking about how each particular question I need to make sure I feel like I need to get done, when I could have been more relaxed and calm and realized that the interview can also be about the conversation and not just about the questions. In conclusion, I took away three major parts of this interview that I believe were the most important. One was the advice. The advice that he gave me about the exceeding expectations and about the internships and starting early hit with me the most, because starting early means that, and those two major points are going to stick with me my entire sports administration career. Being able to talk with people, being able to exceed the expectation of being the best I can possibly be at my goal. And then my second one was expanding my network, being able to open up and conversate with people that I know will help me provide bigger opportunities. And lastly, exceeding what I believe is enough. I always thought was enough can always be more.